Our Justice Thursday conversation for today gets into and around conversations on the role of the Transport Licensing Appeals Board in terms of enhancing access to justice. Dr. Andrew Kimani is seated in the hot seat today, and we'll be having that conversation with him. He's the CEO and Secretary of the Transport Licensing Appeals Board. Good morning, Dr. Kimani.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you for being here.
Asante.
Karibu sana.
Yes.
Big issues that we look at around this particular sector, and then what the appeals board can actually provide for people. But even as we get into the conversation today, we're going to welcome you to the Situation Room. CT is going to share today's proverb with you, and then we'd like you to interpret that and tell us what it means to you.
All right.
Okay.
Our proverbs the whole of this week come from the Republic of the Sudan. Mm-hmm. Okay, now where the heck are those proverbs? Right. Better the Leobob. Better your Leobob than people's dates. Now, I have to explain what a Leobob is. It's a herbal concoction.
Yes.
That was used in Persia, and one of the uses that it had is an interesting one. It was used for male infertility.
Oh.
Yes. It's always interesting to watch how men react when you mention,
I know, every time.
When you mention male infertility.
Every time.
Yes. So better that particular concoction than people's dates. Now, let's call it a herbal treatment and other people's dates, shall we? So better your herbal treatment than people's dates. Dates is it a fruit? What is it?
It's a fruit.
It's a fruit?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
You started with male potency, which is, of course, very touchy. That's why he also clinched. But I'm thinking that you can rise to the occasion. Literally, yeah.
The three of you need to behave.
I think that it's better something that you have self-prescribed. It doesn't seem as bitter because you know actually why you're taking it, than something that someone else will tell you will work for you. Yet you're not. It's poison. Poison, I said, is not as lethal when you take it. Yes, because you know why you're taking it. Okay, it's no longer an illegality. Yes, the court pronounced itself, but I think that's what it means to me.
Okay, you put it very well.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Very, very well indeed. Yeah. Simple and to the point. Thank you.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Far be it from somebody who works, who deals with appeals issues, to be far away from issues concerning justice, isn't it? And so the role of the Transport Licensing Appeals Board in enhancing access to justice, can we start from there in the first place, that the Transport Licensing Appeals Board, tell us about this board. What does it do? What's its mandate?
Thank you so much, Joe. I think the Transport Licensing Appeals Board is one of the bodies under the judiciary. It's formed from the NTSA Act, and basically we listen, or we are there to check against any grievance you might have against NTSA, especially licensing. But we have expanded our mandate because number one, there's no other body that deals with issues of registration, for example. Because you have various clients from members of the public, 5 million of you guys. If you have an issue with your driving license, NTSA has refused to give you the various classes. We've had issues of classes, tuk-tuks, boda-bodas, any form of license that is given by NTSA, that falls under our mandate. Recently, and that's why I was possibly checking on the papers, we had a decision that was made by the board that is led by our chairman, Dr. Adrian Kamodo, where the board made a decision that bodybuilders, because the matter has not been appealed yet, so we can discuss it, bodybuilders cannot be issued with both a license and still what we call a conformity assessor's license, meaning it's like they're assessing their own.
It's like a conflict of interest.
Yes. So that is what the board decided. that they either look for a third party or look for someone else who can offer those services. And it's a case that it's a monumental case. It's according to me jurisprudential, because there's no way you're going to be both a referee and a coach, or a player and still referee. So that is what one of the decisions that I'm actually proud that the board has made. And it was made last week. I know it's going to be to have a bit of a shake-up, because the standard, what you call KS, the KEB standard that have been provided for bodybuilding, also KENAS, which gives for quality assurance, is the one that also ensures that if you can be able to make standards, anyone can be licensed as a conformity
Can I just
assessor.
hold you for a moment, Dr.
Yes.
When you talk about bodybuilding,
Yes.
me, I'm thinking gym.
Or motor vehicle manufacturers, those that build a certain standard.
Yes.
So NTSA issues licenses for manufacturers or bodybuilders. Okay.
Vehicle bodybuilders.
Motor vehicles.
So
yes.
licenses are actually issued to people who want to build.
Yes.
Like,
yes.
okay,
Or
there's
like to modify.
Yes.
there's a chassis,
Yes.
there's an engine.
Yes. And then now the body.
The people who build that,
Yes.
they require licensing.
Yes, they do.
They do.
And that is license number one. You can build. You're given some standards, a form of standards. Then number two, you must be assessed, right? So who is coming to assess you? So the issue that was at hand was an appellant had brought a case where he was accused in NTSA of licensing one company or one association who are both, their members are bodybuilders, and then they have a trading arm with the same name, plus now trading arm limited, and they are still the assessors. You get?
So, okay. License is given to people who want to do this work.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
All right. What are the qualifications that somebody must have before you can even apply to be a bodybuilder? Because to get a license, you have to apply for it.
Yes.
Okay. Just so that we understand.
Yes.
What is this thing that you need to have in order to be able to actually qualify to apply for a license to build?
Of course,
vehicle bodies.
You must have engineers. You know, it's a normal company like Isuzu or Toyota,
Yes.
or Akina. The ones that you see, the ones that the trucks. What is
Bachu.
written at Akina Bachu? Yes. You must have engineers. You must have various forms of licenses, including by KENAS, including by KEBS. All these. You're normal. It's a normal company. Okay. Then you apply for a license from NTSA. They go through a checklist. You have 1, 2, 3. Here's your license. I think it's paid for 9,000 shillings for bodybuilding. Anyone can be a bodybuilder. But now the point of contention the client had was, you have given this person, I've given you a license for bodybuilding. Then those bodybuilding, the standards must be assessed. Who is assessing them? There's a conformity assessor. What also, for you to get the conformity assessor's license issued by NTSA, there's also a checklist, including by KENAS.
Okay.
Right? Then you, for the case that was we are discussing, you have another trading arm where you are also the CEO. One, you are the CEO of the Bodybuilders Association. The other, you are the CEO of the assessors. All right?
Okay.
So, yes.
And these are different licenses. It's not
Yes.
as though we're saying it's the same license that needs to be made present with each and every one of these bodies.
Exactly.
So it's a different license that I have to bring for NTSA. It's
Yes.
a different license I must bring for KEBS.
Yes.
It's a different license I must bring for these other individuals that. Okay. So then when I look at access to justice, it seems like there's quite some that needs to be done in order for folks to operate. Where does the justice part then come in here?
Okay, let me first finish on this matter.
Okay.
Then once you have all these, then you go to NTSA, present them. They give you the assessor's license. Now, you're bodybuilding, then you come and assess yourself according to what the judgment read, which the board held in its wisdom that this should not happen. It should be done by another neutral third party. That is one matter. We've also made decisions on before I go to access to justice on issues of like good conduct. Initially, for you to be given a PSV license is the one for matatu drivers, touts. Before you're given that license, you needed to have a good conduct. The issue of good conduct came up like two years ago. You see these people who are field stages, they're called kamageras.
Kamagera.
Kupiga the ones wanakuambia they usher you into
Sorry,
Asha.
what?
Let's say Asha. They usher you into a matatu.
The conductor.
The guys who call you to
No,
the ones who
no, they're not
yes.
conductors.
Yeah.
It's some people call them manamba.
Those the squad people.
Yes, squad.
No,
Squad
you
is
understood.
Yeah, hiyo unajua. Yeah. So we had an issue once coming to court. We went to a stage. We are like, how come there are so many people? You know those questions you never ask yourself. We're in Asha. There are so many people who are trying to usher people in. Then the board director told me, can you just find out what is going on? Because these are too many people who are not getting into a matatu.
Yeah.
Or they're just there with faded uniforms. Then just decided, went and talked to them and asked them, hey, how come you guys cannot at least get the license? Or, how come you guys are not inside the matatu either as a driver or a makanga? Mnajaza the squad people. The issues we got there were varied, and one of the things they told us that I cannot be given this PSV to be a driver because I do not have a good conduct. Why? Because I had been arrested. Okay, arrest comes in this way. Once you're arrested, a good conduct shows you've not had committed a crime the past 1 year, but this person is in a position where, because they've committed a crime, even petty crime, not petty crime that is more than the one that will make sure that your fingers are taken, what we call fingers by the DCI. Once those fingers are there, your good conduct is as good as can't be used. Because it used to be relied to by the SACCOs and companies to enable you to get a license from PSV because of self-regulation. The portal is given to NTSA, is given by NTSA to the companies. Okay, so you find there are so many Kenyans out there who cannot get a PSV because of prior conviction.
Okay.
Yet this person, where it comes to access to justice, might have, number one, been released. Yet the fingerprints are there. You might have gone through the court process, and the court says that you're not
guilty.
You're not guilty. Yet your fingerprints are there. Number two, you might have turned into a state witness, where the state withdraws the charges, and then you on their side, right? But your fingers are still there because of the process. Maybe it was a serious crime, carjacking or whatever. You went through, and then the police said, okay, fine, you turn into a state witness, then we drop all charges. Your fingerprints are still there. So along the line, or you must have even served your term. What about the one in Boston schools, for example? The underage, for example. So you get that this person could not, or they were unable to get their PSVs licenses because of the good conduct issue, and that is something now we followed up with NTSA. Courts are you normally move to court as a judicial body. We wait for you to bring your matters, but we also try to be proactive. So when we talked to those, we got a series of meetings, and we filtered through some of the issues, the cases, and then some cases were brought to court. So we came to an arrangement with NTSA that as much as a good conduct is important when someone wants to get a PSV license because of course the criminality, what about such kind of issue? Why don't you first delink your system with the PSV and the good conduct? Then we go to case by case. And of course, when it comes to access to justice, the worst thing, or one of the major impediments is public awareness. People don't know of such bodies as ours. And that is why I think I'm very appreciative for this opportunity to be here. So that at least now people know that if you have any form of issue against these gigantas or this very big body or this regulator called NTSA, you can always come to us. We are at the judiciary. We have you can file virtually, and we encourage virtual filing. We can, at times, the board decides on its own volition to go to where the client is. Because of also the nature of our clients, makangas, drivers. Others will not have the devices to log in. Because at times we want them to log in. Others don't have lawyers, for example. That's also a problem. So we also encourage them, just file your case. There it is.
So essentially you've answered the question that I asked, that in terms of where does justice come in. So what are some of the cases that are actually brought to the board? For us to understand, you know, normally you say, okay, so if you have an issue against NTSA, for example, then come to the board. But what are some of the issues that people would ordinarily come to the board with for us to get a broader understanding?
Missing classes, for example. You find that you've migrated from the old driving license. It had what you call BCE and maybe A. once you want to take the smart license, you're told that the one that appears maybe is just D1. Then when you ask, how come I cannot? I had BCE. If you relate to the new one, it should maybe be D2, C1 or something like that. But when you look at the new license, the smart one, it has only one class, and that one class is maybe a D1. Yet D1 is equivalent to the C. In driving in the driving license, BCE allows you to drive up to trucks, yes? But now you're given a D1. D1, maybe you can only drive a small car. When you go to NTSA, they tell you maybe these records cannot be found. We can only find this one. Go bring a receipt. For example, Muga, if you're told to bring a receipt from KRA, remember the former KRA where we used to pick the license? Just bring a receipt as evidence that you had the BCE. And maybe you're matatu driver or a truck driver, because we've gotten those ones, a lot of those. Where are you getting those receipts? Then the other option, if you can't get the receipt, go back to school. Yes, that we have many of those cases.
But surely there's a duplicate.
Yeah. Not only a duplicate, there is the original hard copy license that you have.
Now that is where the court comes in, because two things. The board will ask you when you bring the case to us, the board will tell you, give us the physical license. You've even presented the physical license to NTSA. You have it. You give, take, or you just go and drop this and pick this, or you have the two of them. Then you'll tell them, I had this BC and these are genuine stamps.
Yes.
They'll tell you, no. I mean, we don't know. It could have been a fake
and it
license.
is their stamp and it's in green.
Yeah. That's a point. So you can come to once you come to the board will ask, okay, let's see the old license, yes. The new one, fine. Number 2, do you have any proof, for example, that you've, driven trucks or buses? There are many. An appointment letter, for example. There is the ones that the annual, what are they called? The annual renewals.
Yes.
They are also there. That is proof enough. So many people, because they do not know that they can come to T-Lab, they end up, they give up to school, or they go back to school, which is also an expensive venture.
But remember also, Daktari, you can get the license because that is what you got the license for.
Yes.
It doesn't mean you've been driving trucks all your life.
Yes.
But you did get tested with a truck.
Exactly.
Because when you get tested on that, once you get in that class, all other lower classes, you are passed on. That is how it worked. Now, if there's a change and you haven't been informed, how are you supposed to know?
Actually, the law says that it should not be, if the government or if a body changes the system to a newer one, it should not be at the disadvantage of their appellant or the client or the citizen. So if NTSA thinks that this is a better option, a smart license is a better one than the old one, it is their decision. Okay, it's an administrative decision or maybe a legal decision, but why should it be at your disadvantage where you're being told, prove that you went to a driving school?
No. Yes. As we have this discussion, one thing that is glaring here is the fact that there is no data depository where all this information is at. Because now here we're talking about the system that does not communicate with each other. Now you start from the matter to do with the police and good conduct. Now that system, when someone has turned and they're clean, that means in the system it should be able to indicate that they are free, hence delinking their fingerprints from the criminal record. And then again you come to NTSA and the classes and whatnot. There is clear indication that data is not there. To fix this is to digitize it and have it in the system. So as a court or as a body that deals with such matters, what is the conversation in making sure that this issue is handled? Because unless we handle this, you will keep on having
many of them.
Yes,
I agree. And after the Naivasha issue, where I found these many numbers, that's just a microcosm.
Yes.
If, for example, you go to a stage and 20 people have this issue, you can imagine, I also went to Nyahururu, the same. You can imagine the number of Kenyans who will have similar issues where they cannot get a PSV license because they don't have good conduct. And I know right now, many also don't know that. So what I did is I wrote to the DCI then, and I asked them a series of questions. One of them being at what stage do our fingerprints clean or
off the system?
Yes, off the system. And I wanted a definite answer, maybe 10, 20, 30 years. Then number 2, what happens when someone who had served his term or who had been let go, because if you are let go, let's say because you stand into a state witness or you are innocent, your situation should be as it was ab initio. Yeah. Then they told us, I remember they told me there's no policy on that, on some of the issues, because I raised a couple of issues. Then number two of importance, they say that they are just a repository. They are just a library, okay? A library meaning that if records are brought, they are kept. That is what they are, basically. They just keep that record. So when you go to get your fingerprints, it basically means if you've not committed a crime, your records are not there. That's what having a good conduct means.
Yeah.
Yes, if you go, I want a good conduct. They just run through the system, crimes that have been committed and someone who has been jailed, their records are not here.
Okay.
What if you want them removed? You see, now that is where at times there's an issue. And at times they say that take the court ruling judgments that let you out, take it to the DCI. But is that the policy? Because we'd also want to know that.
Is there a policy concerning that? Because I imagine that there are a number of people. I mean, look, when we talk about going to court over whatever it may be, and your details are now in the system. If you've paid, whether that meant being in prison for a while or whatever the case may be, you're done with that.
Yes.
Essentially, retribution has been done, reformation at some point, you've served your time, rehabilitation, whatever level has been achieved, you've served your time.
Yes.
So now something that you might go into later, business, but that precludes you from doing the business.
Yes.
And if you've served your time, did they say that there is then a policy on when your record would be wiped clean?
That's a conversation I think that should be pushed forward, because on the same line, you're also asking yourself if you served your time, and your good conduct, must it indicate at the back that there is something that is outstanding? Because that is what it says, outstanding.
And yet you've served your time.
You've served your time. So that is what the board grappled with. And any matter that came to us, as long as you showed that you served, number one, you served your time, meaning that and you've been clean for at least a year, then that's okay. Because I remember there's a matter we had at the Kirinyaga Law Court. This Matatu driver had an altercation with the wife at night. I think normal manenos. At night, and one thing led to another. Akamchuna, pinched. That's what he told us in court. So I'm not. He just pinched.
How did the wife interpret this pinch?
Yes, now that's what I mean. So he just pinched the wife. We have to be very gender sensitive. So pinched the wife, and then the guy. They slept angry at each other. In the morning, the guy went kawaida 5 a.m. Went to work. During the day, the wife went to a police station. Went to a police station. The guy is in a registered circle. Went to a police station, said that I was assaulted by my husband. That is an assault case. When it's assault, the guy was arrested, I think, in the evening when he came from work, slept in the police station. The next day, parents came, people talked. But you see, he slept in the police. He slept in the police station, was processed, and taken to court. Fingerprints. Because it's an assault case, yes? And police will always go with whatever has been booked. When, I think before he was convicted, they decided to withdraw. You know how it goes, I think he was in remand for like 1 month or something like that. Because it's an assault case, and it will take time because there are hearings and such. Within that period, they said, okay, fine, let the parents talk. They talked, wakaskizana. Went and said ADR, our judiciary allows ADR in some instances, especially when it's mostly civil. But if the witness says that or goes to the state prosecutor and tells him 1, 2, 3, 4 things, then it's withdrawn. So the case was withdrawn. So that was that.
Okay.
This guy went back to work. His license was, I think, the PSV was valid. But when he came to renew after about 4 months, because it was 8 months old, when he came to renew the PSV with his SACCO, because SACCOs are given the portal, he was told that you can be given a PSV.
Why?
He asked why. He said, because you do not have your good conduct. Okay, let me go get the good conduct. When he came with the good conduct, he showed that you have an outstanding remark. You see, yet this case did not proceed more than that.
So who's to make sure that is clear? And that's the thing, I guess, here.
Yes.
Who's to make sure that is cleared? Because if it's lodged there, and then for whatever reason thereafter, the case has been, either withdrawn or you've served your time, and that particular issue has been essentially cleared up, who's to make sure then that is clear? And I think that's where I am, because it stops so many other things down the line from happening.
That's a very good question. And one, I think what you're asking is, should it be automatic that now he served his time, now it's clear? Because now, like this driver's situation, it's like that crime was not committed.
Exactly.
Because they went, Skizana, it was a domestic tussle or whatever it was.
Or is it the responsibility of the person who made the complaint to go back and say, well, look, we're no longer doing this anymore, so can we just, get it expunged, cleared, whatever?
Or is it the responsibility of the court that because even ADR is a judicial process and the details are resolved with them. So is it the court to communicate with the DCI from outstanding to resolved? Because it seems like all these institutions are not communicating together.
There's a body that does NCAJ that brings all players together, all judicial players, police, DCI, prisons, and the courts, of course. And I think that's a very good question that we can always propose to them. But I think in matters of policy, there's that gap that asks what happens at such an instance where this person committed a crime or was innocent. Must he take his records to DCI? Because now that's another process now. Do you take it? How much do you pay? It should be clear. You should pay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5
for this,
and then it is removed. Or is it automatic? You've been released under cap 1, 2, whatever. With this, go have your records cleared.
Okay.
Yes.
Because
yes.
Dr. Kimani, when it is clear that I can't get one of the licenses that I need to operate PSV because of one reason or the other. But we're saying mostly it has to do with conduct issues, or it mostly has to do with previous issues that involve the law. Is that what we're saying? Or under which other circumstances would I be denied a license that would require me to then come before the board to appeal?
There are various... apart from conduct, what the NTSA has done is that it has ensured that SACCOs and companies are able to self-regulate. They've given them the portal, so to speak. They can be able to regulate themselves. Muga best, and you have a company, you have a minimum maybe of 30 vehicles as it's allowed by the law. You have a minimum of 30 drivers, 30 conductors, and at no time should it go below that. At times it's allowed because of maybe inspection. But then you find a situation where, because it has gone down, then NTSA will tell you that, no, we are going to suspend your license for the whole route. That happens. Okay, conduct issues. I know there have been various things that have been going on with some SACCOs, where you get, we had a case like 3 years ago of a Rongai SACCO, where one matatu caused death by reckless driving, and then NTSA immediately suspended the whole SACCO because there was a public outcry. The SACCO, I remember, moved to us on a certificate of urgency, which is allowed, and we had to make a determination because, this is an investment. Yes, someone has been killed by matatu, this matatu, but they've moved on a certificate of urgency, and they are telling us, look, this specific matatu, we had already written to its owner, number one. We had already reported it to NTSA more than once for it to be suspended. And this matatu has made the whole route to be suspended. Yes, there is collective responsibility, but should be there collective punishment.
Punishments.
Yes, which we disagreed. We said you cannot punish everyone for the mistake of one, though there's collective responsibility. So because of that non-compliance, we said no. I mean, this one is the one that has the issue. Should have been removed. NTSA should have followed through, and we lifted the suspension immediately. Other issues, route extension. At times, you find that there's a matatu, for example, that there's a SACCO that wants to move from Rongai to Nairobi, or from Westlands to let's say Kitengela, and NTSA will tell them, no, you can't move. What's the reason? something they'll find something. But we keep asking ourselves, no, it will be denied through their own procedures or administrative action. We keep asking ourselves, when you're having case discussions, one, has the government said that we won't, for example, import more cars?
No, but is this person still not in Kenya? Is Western Kenya still not part of Kenya?
Leave alone that, you want you have a route, you have a pre-existing route,
Yes.
maybe from Thika to Nairobi. But now you want Thika, Nairobi, Rongai.
Yes.
Or Thika, Nairobi, let's say Machakos. Then you're told no. Then when you ask, Sijui, the vehicles are many, we ask them, but vehicles are still coming from Mombasa, number one. Number two, is the road carrying capacity of the government, has it been exhausted? So you see, there are so many things. When you try to sit down as a court, when we try and look at them, we say that this does not make sense. Legally, it's not right. If NTSA feels that this route, it cannot give any more licenses, let it be made clear. And legally, let them prove it.
Yeah.
Issues of delayed registration of a new SACCO, closed portal without notice. At times, they just close the portal. You want to go and update details of your driver, the portal is closed.
Why?
No reason is given. And you see, that is also administrative. We also rely on the Administrative Act of 2015. Yeah, you get so many reasons at times when they come to us. Until now, you tell yourself, okay, this one is not right.
Right.
So we summon NTSA, we listen to all parties, and then we are very expeditious. We follow the social transformation through access to justice, the pillar of and the vision of the Chief Justice. So we try to be as fast as possible than the traditional courts, because we also want to expand these matters as soon as.
So on average, how long does it take to adjudicate?
We've given ourselves not more than 180 days, not more than. Why at times we give ourselves that? Because some of our matters will have advocates. And, advocates will want, maybe there's a preliminary objection, maybe there are facts that they need cleared, maybe there's also something else that has come into play. And matters that have advocates at times you have to be heard. But others are rather straightforward. We have a physical case in Voi, where border drivers, their licenses were denied. They were not given licenses, yet they've gone to a driving school. When you ask NTSA, we can't see those records. Let them prove that they went to a driving school. And this is a border driver.
And yet they have a license?
Yes. Yes, they've gone to pick the new license. Yes. We can't see those records. Another one in Kisumu, where we had CDF had paid, I can't remember, CDF had paid for about 20 drivers, the way they pay for drivers. Yes. Then they go to the driving school. It reaches that level, NTSA cannot give them licenses. The issues are various, and at times that is why the board, in its wisdom, tries to be as expeditious as possible. We want to dispense with these matters, and under the judiciary, we also have the time limits. We are measured on how fast you dispense a matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So. TILAC as a body goes into ensuring as well that laws are actually adhered to, because you're working in an ecosystem. You're part of the justice system, and then you have the NTSA and Matatus, border borders, and everybody involved. Yes. So what is your role in ensuring that whilst there are appeals that will be brought to you, that you're equally ensuring that those bringing the appeals equally just play by the rules?
What courts do, at times they are prescriptive in the kind of rulings we make. You cannot, at times, why we say this decision is jurisprudential, or this decision goes to cure something. Yes. At times they are decisions that you make hoping that it will bring a conversation like what you're talking about. Yes. Like this issue of the bus bodybuilders, motor vehicle manufacturers, is something that it had to be brought to our attention, because I mean, surely, how do you bodybuild and yet you also assess yourself? Okay, that issue of good conduct. There are various other issues. There's an issue of the digital online operators. We have a matter, but okay, it is active in court, so it will be subjudicial for me to talk about it. The one for the Ubers and Bolts, where the board, in its wisdom, had given a fine to one of the digital online operators, but they appealed at a higher court. So you get that the board we'll act within the law. We only act with the facts we have, but we also alive to the situation as it is.
Yes.
Okay, so we do try to do that. We try to legally give some cure as far as we can push. We also don't want to be accused to have gone above.
Let me understand something.
Yes.
This is something I've always. How exactly are these public transport or matatu SACCOs formed? What is the understanding and what is the basis, and what exactly is required of one before they can become a member of a SACCO?
Okay, though that's a purview of NTSA, but when the Mishuki rules came, before that anyone could own a matatu.
And you could go anywhere.
You could go anywhere. It was chaos. But with the Mishuki rules, NTSA, what was formerly called the Transport Licensing Board, turns into NTSA, they came up with a checklist where number one, you have to be registered. Registration lazima. The government has to know who you are. You remember that time there are people who did not even have PIN.
Yes.
You had to have a KRA PIN. Yes, you had to have a KRA PIN. You had to have an ID. But if it's a company, the same way you do with a CR12 company, these are the list of directors. This is what they do. That has to be there. Then also, there's a minimum number of vehicles you can have on the road. Once you have that, then there are things like you have to have in the regulations you have to maybe to have a conduct, what we call a stage manager. You have to have an office. You have a physical office, so that if someone has a complaint, can't go and report. Those are the basic ones. Then now you apply to NTSA and tell them, according to the checklist, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things, and I want you to give me a SACCO. There's that question you've brought up. We had a court case, and there's something called legitimate expectation. In an easier way, if you're with someone, you've dated someone for a while, and you've promised them marriage, and then along the way you find someone better. It happens to us. It happens. So, and then you marry the other person. I think
you began in solidarity.
Yes. So she waited for you until you finished high school and university, and you got your job, and then you don't marry her. I think she can accuse you of failure.
Right.
The legitimate expectations, because she was legitimately expecting you to marry her. So when it comes to SACCO, we've had situations where you go to NTSA. Muga wants to start a company, wants to be an operator, PSV operator. Then you're given a checklist. These plus have 30 matatus, for example. You have 31. You have Tanimingi. Then with all this, and at times you're even taking from your friends, you're taking loans, and then you're panel beating them, unachomelea hapa na pale, and then you want them on the road. Now you tell them, I have everything. You go to them. Then they tell you, no, we won't give you the license. Administratively, I don't know, a reason maybe comes up or whatever. That is failure. That is, you had legitimate expectation that if I have all these, I can be able to get these, because you had promised me. You had told me, I came to you guys and you told me I must have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I've gotten all of them.
Yes. So at times that happens. So when there's that legitimate expectation or any other that falls under that, it comes to us. Yes.
See, why I asked this question, I remember the matter of motorcycle riders and what happened to a young lady on Wangari Maathai Way, and how that seemed to have transformed that particular industry into something a little more organized. That's why I asked about the SACCOs. So anyone who is in that transport business must belong to a SACCO.
Yes, or a company,
And they must be registered there.
Yes.
So that when you look for a vehicle, there will be a place where they are domiciled.
Yes.
So you know exactly where to take complaint.
Yes.
And you will also know who the owner is. All the details will be there.
True.
Okay. Now, ever since the body that you had started, have you seen a reduction in the cases that involve that sector, or have you seen an increase?
In the matatu industry, because it's one of the ones that we deal with, the PSV, SACCOs and company, there's actually a reduction in the number of cases that we get from there because of the organization that they have. And unless it's a very major one, that's when they'll come to us. Possibly the whole route company has been suspended. Like what happened with the Maina case, where there was an accident and then the NTSA suspended it. Unless it's such kind of a situation. Okay, it's not always that we are the decisions NTSA has made that we go against. At times we also tell them that you are right on these decisions.
Right.
Yeah. So at times we do that. So not always that they lose. We try to be as factual as possible.
So does the board step in on matters, or does it wait for matters to be brought to the board? And I'm going to use the example of what happened a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it was a horrible situation where in a public service vehicle, a matatu, and it's in the open, so we can talk about it, the Super Metro, where an individual was thrown out of the vehicle because they couldn't pay the 30 shillings fee. That went into court, and so many things have happened as a result of that. Horrible case. Does the board step in on matters like this, or does somebody have to sit up and say, okay, well, we know it went to court, but should it go beyond that, whereby you have an entire, company censured for this kind of thing? And if that were to be the case, would somebody then come in as a private citizen, for example, and raise the issue at the level of the Transport Licensing Board?
That was a rather unfortunate incident. I didn't quite feel proud at that moment, because I also think that people will have stood up. The people in the matatus, I know people are stressed.
Yes.
But at least they will have stood up and either volunteered to pay the 30 shillings or at least told the matatu driver to slow down for the passenger to walk, alight in a good way. We don't always have to be quiet when these things are happening. Shout. This very little people can do when there is a multitude, when there are numbers, when people are talking. One person cannot possibly drown all those voices. On the question you've asked, we try. NTSA is the regulator. By law, we are product of NTSA. We are their appeals. We are the ones that check on the excesses, the administrative excesses. So we, just like other courts, unless and until you move the court, it at times become difficult for us to get into such issues. Now you take someone like you. If you file, I'll give you our details. If you want to file, you can file right now. And then now you'll be telling NTSA, I don't know, possibly telling them, we want that license suspended until maybe compliance checks are done. That is one way. The law allows anyone, even if not directly aggrieved by the decision, a third party can file. Okay, as a matter of interest, you can file and say that person was given a license, I want it suspended. Why? Because of 1, 2, and you're not directly involved through party A. I think we've made that decision before. There's also one decision that was made a few years ago on removal of number plates. I remember, but it was driven by a party where someone came to the board, I think it was in Naivasha, and said that NTSA has removed my number plates. Then his reasoning was, why should they remove my number plates? Yet they are the ones who also license me. And the board agreed with him. It is actually double jeopardy. You are licensing someone, you're giving them the PSV. You can as well remove the license from the PSV. You can take the driving license, you can take the PSV, you can take the inspection sticker. Then why also remove the number plate? Because now getting the process, he was complaining that the process of getting back the number plate is tedious and they cannot even be found.
I actually don't understand. Why did you take the number plate? I mean, what had happened?
Okay, when I asked, I was told that at least it will make them, some of those vehicles are not well inspected. But then I asked them, you are the ones who inspect. If the inspection sticker is there, or it forces that vehicle to go back to inspection. But I told them it should not be at the discomfort of members of the public, because they are employers.
That logic is warped.
Yes. Yeah. But you see now, even if I walk or when you're driving and then I come upon NTSA removing number plates, there's very little I can do because that matter has not been brought to the attention of the board. And the board will, if the matter is brought to the attention of the board will sit, look at the facts in law and maybe precedents which has been established before, and then make a decision. Yes.
That falls in my mind to a category of abuse of power.
Yes.
Because it's
bordering on harassment.
I mean, it's like this case we had where the city county of Nairobi had a problem with Kenya Power.
Yeah.
Same thing. Someone decides, okay, let's have a pissing contest. Someone goes and, I mean, how?
Yeah, who is a loser
Yes.
in the long run?
A matter that could have been discussed and an agreement arrived at.
Yeah.
But when we look at the transport sector in the country and the service that they provide, what would you say are the areas where we could still make improvements?
The boda sector, it's a growing industry. It's very, very important. And, transport being one of the biggest contributors to GDP, I think right now 300, 400 billion is something we cannot ignore. I think, and this is just me talking, if we are more robust, especially as members of the public, if we are more keen on exactly what is ailing us at this moment in time, that's what we should be asking ourselves. Is it, or do we need more PSVs, or what other form of travel do we need? Do we need to be regulated more? Do we know what our rights are? If we can be able to answer some of those questions, must all of us use vehicles coming to town, for example? When accidents happen, the board has limited jurisdiction on NTSA. We cannot look at other matters outside the purview of NTSA. You can only bring the ones that are in the NTSA. At times we get that someone wants to sue another body, but they go through NTSA, want to sue the police or something like that. But then ours is only limited to NTSA. We are trying to see how we can expand our mandate on issues that involve road transport, because we are the only tribunal that deals with that. We also encourage ADR a lot. We, if you have a problem with this, with law and NTSA is in the middle, we try and see. The others, and NTSA will say, okay, fine, your license, let us give him Class A. He came to court, and then when you go to when now they come before the bench, they say, sisi tumeskizana, which we also encourage a lot. It saves time and also those man hours. So we also encourage ADR. But the board is limited to that mandate of NTSA. Yes. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, winding down on this, but how then are appeals brought before the board, brought before the tribunal? How do people come and, make the complaints?
Okay. We have various ways. But one of the easiest that we've got, we had a judiciary open day, and we set up our desk for the board. We set our desk at tea room, because we believe that is where a majority of our clients are, and we got inquiries from tea room where people were saying that we did not know. The chief registrar of the judiciary actually came to our stand at tea room, and she interacted with members of the public from Tatu Circles, from Nyeri, Meru, remember Okoh. We gave them these bands and stickers for the vehicles. I'm sorry I didn't bring enough. I'll make sure I send them today by courier. They're important because, but don't, I always tell my friends when they have these bands, when you're arrested on other issues, don't call me or don't call the office.
What do you mean?
Yes, don't call
What's
the office.
Benefit of knowing What's the benefit of knowing if you can't call you?
Someone will pick their phone and tell you, nimeshikwa na NTSA, ongea na yeye. And then I'm like, I don't even know what the issue is. Let the case continue. So we go directly to the ground.
Yeah.
We interact directly with people from the ground. We also have our number, 0799 000 584.
Yeah.
People also call in. People also walk in. Our offices are at Transcom House.
Yes.
Second floor. So in case you have any issue with NTSA, any kind of issue, whether registration, whether licensing, whether administrative also, come to us, because we also use the Administrative Act, and basically that is where we need.
It's great to know, because I can assure you that a lot of people were not aware that they could actually do that.
They can.
So it's great to have these conversations, because
Yes.
then we spread that information and get that knowledge out there.
Yes.
And we want to thank you for being here with us this morning to at least start to talk about some of these things so that they can be out in the open and for people to know what kind of recourse that they do have. Dr. Andrew Kimani is the CEO Secretary of the Transport Licensing Board, and he's been here with us this morning in the hot seat of the Situation Room. Asante Sana for
Thank
being
you.
here.
It's my pleasure. You guys are very warm, and asante sana for the topical issues that you bring that are of concern to Kenyans.
Asante Sana.
Thank you.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.